Before we begin, please note that this episode includes discussions of graphic violence, poverty, and harsh living conditions. It may also contain outdated terms relevant to the times discussed. Viewer discretion is advised. Today, we embark on a journey into one of the most infamous unsolved mysteries in history, the Whitechapel murders of 1888. Some of these are also known as the Jack the Ripper murders. As a channel dedicated to exploring London's historic crimes, we are drawn to the compelling narrative of the Whitechapel murders. This series of brutal killings not only sent shockwaves through the world, but also left an enduring legacy of fear and fascination that continues to enthrall audiences globally. Before delving into the details of these crimes, let's transport ourselves back to the dark, gaslit streets of London in 1888 to truly grasp the weight of these horrific events. During the era of Queen Victoria, the social structure in Victorian England was characterised by a strict hierarchy. The affluent lived in luxury and abundance, while the less fortunate endured destitution and desperation. This disparity was most evident in the East End of London. The East End served as a melting pot for immigrants seeking asylum and a brighter future. There were Eastern European Jews escaping persecution, Irish families evading impoverishment and famine, and a multitude of other foreign nationals. These immigrants, who eventually evolved into the Cockney population, often found themselves at the lowest rung of the social ladder, grappling with prejudice, adversity, and a perpetual struggle for existence. But why did these individuals flock to the East End? London, being the epicentre of the British Empire, presented opportunities, albeit limited, for employment and for housing. The East End in particular provided affordable living accommodations, although these were often in dismal conditions. Situated near the docks, there are also many labour opportunities, but these were accompanied by meagre wages and strenuous toil. The streets of Whitechapel were dim, damp, and impoverished. Crime was rampant, and the Metropolitan Police Force, established just a few decades earlier in 1829, was still acclimating to its responsibilities. Police in such a densely populated and chaotic region posed considerable challenges for the law enforcement officials. The residents of the East End worked tirelessly in demanding jobs to provide for their families. Men toiled in factories, on the docks, and in construction, while women juggled work as seamstresses, domestic servants, or in the markets. Despite their relentless efforts, many families found themselves teetering on the brink of poverty. Life was especially challenging for women, faced with limited opportunities and no safety net. Some were left with no choice but to turn to prostitution to survive and support their families, or just to support themselves. For the destitute, the workhouses offered a last resort, providing shelter and labour for those in desperate need. However, the conditions were severe, and the stigma associated with seeking refuge in a workhouse was overwhelming. Once admitted, it was incredibly difficult to leave, as opportunities outside were scarce for unskilled men and women in particular. There were lodging houses, and they provided a slightly improved alternative, offering inexpensive accommodations where one could rent a bed for the night. Though often crowded and unsanitary, lodging houses were viewed as a slightly better option than the streets, or better than the dreaded workhouse. In the heart of Whitechapel, approximately 80 lively pubs served as vital social hubs for the local community. Despite the crowded, noisy and smoky atmosphere, These establishments offered a temporary escape from the daily struggles. They are also hotspots for sharing information and rumours, contributing to the bustling and sometimes perilous environment of the East End. The dimly lit, narrow streets of Whitechapel were overrun with people, emanating an overwhelming sense of despair and struggle. The pungent smell of filth and decay lingered in the air, as if a reminder of the hardships endured by those living there. In this grim and perilous setting, a series of brutal murders unfolded, shaking the world and etching a harrowing chapter in the annals of crime. The victims were women on the fringes of society, their lives marked by hardship and vulnerability. The ruthless manner in which they met their demise and the enigma of the killer, known as Jack the Ripper, both mesmerised and terrified the public. Join us as we immerse ourselves in the heart of Whitechapel in 1888, unearthing the tales of the victims, the relentless investigation and the enduring mystery of Jack the Ripper. Thank you for joining us on this journey into London's dark archives. Please stay tuned for the next episode, where we'll explore the lives of the victims of the terrifying events that unfolded on those dark, foggy nights. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes.